Have you ever bought a plant that looked perfect at the nursery, pictured it blooming on your porch, and then watched it sulk, flop, or die, leaving you regretting that glossy tag? I've been there many times. As a seasoned container gardener, I've learned the hard way that not every gorgeous garden flower works in pots. Some quickly outgrow their space, demand constant care, or collapse under pests and stress. In this video, I'll share 8 flowers I regret planting in containers, what went wrong, what I tried to fix, and the smarter alternatives I'd choose instead. 1. Peonies. Peonies are legendary flowers. Big, lush, fragrant blooms that stop you in your tracks. They've been grown for centuries in both Eastern and Western gardens, celebrated in art, poetry, and tradition. Their flowers can be single, semi-double, or full double forms, looking like silken bowls or fluffy pom-poms, and they come in colors from pure white to blush pink, coral, deep crimson, and even rare yellows. Some varieties are intensely fragrant, filling the air with a sweet, rosy perfume. For many gardeners, a blooming peony is the definition of romance and elegance in the garden. Peonies are long-lived perennials, often lasting for decades, sometimes even outliving the gardener who planted them. In the right spot, they settle in, develop strong root systems, and produce bigger, more abundant flowers each year. They thrive in temperate climates where winters are cold enough to give them the dormancy period they need. Peonies rely on a chilling cycle, usually several hundred hours below a certain temperature, to trigger bud formation. That's why they do beautifully in the ground in cooler regions. One of the charms of peonies is their foliage. After the flowers fade, the leaves remain handsome through summer, forming dense, deep green mounds that provide structure to a flower bed. In autumn, depending on the variety, peony foliage can even turn shades of red and bronze before dying back. By winter, the plant goes dormant underground, recharging for the following season. But while they are beloved in garden beds, peonies are notoriously tricky in containers. Their root systems are large, fleshy, and built to dive deep into soil. In a container, those roots get cramped, stressed by fluctuating temperatures, and often don't store enough energy to produce blooms the next season. Peonies can take several years to mature and begin flowering heavily, and in a pot, that maturity is delayed even further. Even when they do bloom, the sheer weight of their enormous flowers makes the plant top-heavy, leading to flopping stems or even pots tipping over. Caring for peonies in a pot requires precision. A very large, deep container, excellent drainage, rich but well-aerated soil, and careful watering to avoid soggy crowns or dried-out roots. Even then, they often underperform compared to their in-ground counterparts. They also dislike disturbance, so dividing or repotting them, which is much easier in the ground, becomes a stressful and sometimes damaging task when grown in a container. That doesn't mean peonies aren't worth growing, they are, just not in pots. In the ground, with plenty of sun and space, they'll reward you with decades of reliable bloom. If you want that same lush, romantic look in containers, there are better options. Double flowering begonias, ranunculus, dwarf shrub roses, or even large flowered dahlias. These give you the drama and romance without the stress and long wait. In short, peonies are timeless, breathtaking, and absolutely garden-worthy. But they're one flower I regret trying to force into containers. They taught me an important lesson. Sometimes plants are best left to the environment they were designed for. 2. Dahlias. Dahlias are the stars of late summer, fireworks of color and form, from spiky cactus blooms to giant dinner plate flowers. They're mesmerizing, and I once dreamed of filling patio pots with their brilliance. The catalogs promised they'd be perfect for containers, but reality was far less romantic. The first problem is size. Even compact dahlias often grow much bigger than expected in pots, sprawling 3 to 4 feet and demanding constant staking. Large varieties are even worse, with blooms so heavy they topple stems or tip whole containers. Their tubers add to the struggle. In the ground, tubers expand freely, but in pots they crowd, deform, or rot. Repotting them year after year is messy and rarely rewarding. On top of that, dahlias are thirsty and hungry plants. In hot weather, I watered pots daily, sometimes twice, only to watch the soil dry out again. Skip a watering, they wilt. Overwater, they rot. Feeding is just as demanding, since nutrients wash out with every soak, leaving the plant starved unless fertilized constantly. Then there are the pests. Spider mites, aphids, thrips, powdery mildew all seem to hit harder in containers where airflow is poor and the plants are stressed. Add the hassle of digging, curing, and storing tubers every winter, and the effort outweighs the joy. Dahlias are breathtaking when they bloom, but in containers the work eclipses the reward. In garden beds, though, they thrive. Bigger plants, better blooms, fewer problems. If you must try them in pots, stick to true dwarfs like the Gallery or Happy Single series. But full-size or dinner plate dahlias? They've been one of my biggest container regrets. 3. Bearded iris. Bearded irises are among the most dramatic flowers you can grow. Their blooms are intricate works of art, velvety petals in an astonishing range of colors, often with striking beards of contrasting hairs that give the flower its name. From pure snow white to midnight purple, sunny gold, copper, lilac, and even bicolored patterns with ruffles and streaks, bearded irises are unmatched in their elegance. When they bloom in spring, usually late April through May, they can transform a garden into a painter's palette. Each flower stalk carries multiple buds, so you get a succession of blooms lasting several weeks. And with reblooming varieties, you might even get a second flush later in summer or early fall. The plant itself is striking even when not in bloom. Its upright, sword-shaped leaves form clumps that stay handsome throughout the growing season, adding vertical structure and bold texture to the garden. These clumps expand over time as the rhizomes grow, creating a dramatic architectural effect in borders. With their combination of flowers and foliage, bearded irises pull double duty. Show-stopping blooms plus a design-friendly presence for the rest of the season. But here's the catch. Bearded irises are ground-loving plants that have specific needs that simply don't translate well to containers. Their thick rhizomes want to spread out horizontally, and they need to sit at or just below the soil surface with plenty of sun exposure and airflow. In a confined pot, it's incredibly difficult to provide the balance they crave. Too much soil covering the rhizomes, and they rot. Too little, and they dry out or fail to anchor properly. Containers also heat up and cool down far more quickly than garden soil, and this fluctuation stresses the rhizomes. I learned this the hard way. Irises in pots often sulk, producing lots of leaves but few or no flowers. And even when they bloom the first year, performance usually declines sharply afterward. In addition, iris rhizomes need to be divided every 3 to 4 years to stay vigorous. Dividing them in the ground is easy. You dig up the clump, slice the rhizomes, and replant. In a pot, it's messy, awkward, and often results in damage or poor regrowth. Another frustration is drainage. Irises demand sharp, fast-draining soil, but in a pot, water tends to either linger too long at the bottom or dry out too fast at the top. The result? Rot, fungal disease, or weak growth. On top of that, irises are sun-hungry plants. While they'll tolerate some heat, they bloom best when their rhizomes are literally baked by the sun. Pots on patios or shaded corners often fail to provide enough consistent heat to trigger abundant flowering. Even when conditions are perfect, bearded irises are tall plants. The bloom stalks can reach 2 to 3 feet, and when you add the weight of those large flowers, they become top-heavy in a pot, requiring constant staking to prevent flopping. The aesthetic dream of a neat pot filled with elegant iris quickly turns into a maintenance headache. In contrast, irises thrive in the ground. Given a sunny location, a well-drained soil bed, and a little space to spread, they'll multiply beautifully and bloom for years. They are also drought-tolerant once established, making them one of the easiest perennials in a landscape. Their resilience in garden beds makes their failure in containers all the more disappointing. If you want to similar-looking pots, there are better options. Dwarf iris varieties, like Iris reticulata, are much more container-friendly. They bloom early in spring with jewel-toned flowers and don't require nearly as much root space. Alternatively, you can get that same bold vertical flair from container-happy plants like gladiolus, dwarf dahlias, or tall salvias, which provide spikes of color without the fuss. So while I'll always keep bearded irises in my garden beds, where they thrive and multiply with ease, they're one of the flowers I regret ever forcing into a container. They simply weren't designed for it, and the results never match the effort. 4. Hybrid tea roses. Hybrid tea roses are the divas of the flower world. When you see them at their peak, it's easy to understand why they've been adored for centuries. Long, elegant stems topped with large, high-centered blooms in an endless palette of colors. They're the roses you picture in wedding bouquets, Valentine's Day arrangements, and old-fashioned romantic gardens. One bush can give you velvety reds, creamy whites, golden yellows, sunset oranges, or even multicolored blends that shift as the flowers open. And the fragrance? Some varieties are intoxicating, filling the air with perfume that makes you stop and breathe deeply. On paper, it seems like the perfect plant to keep close at hand in a container, where you can admire it up close, cut stems for vases, and enjoy the fragrance on your porch or patio. But here's the truth I learned. Hybrid tea roses are absolute heartbreakers in pots. They may look stunning the first season, but the longer you keep them confined, the more obvious their high-maintenance personality becomes. The first issue is root space. Hybrid tea roses are grafted plants with vigorous root systems that need room to sprawl. In the ground, those roots anchor deeply, searching out water and nutrients to fuel repeat blooming cycles. In a container, no matter how big, those roots are limited. The rose quickly becomes root-bound, stressed, and less productive. Instead of lush flushes of blooms, you get weak canes, fewer flowers, and a plant that looks perpetually exhausted. Even when I tried oversized pots, the rose still seemed to sulk after the first year. Then there's the water issue. Hybrid tea roses are thirsty, demanding consistent moisture but also hating soggy feet. That balance is incredibly hard to maintain in a container, where soil dries out much faster than in the ground. On hot summer days, I had to water my potted roses twice, sometimes 3 times, just to keep them alive. Miss one watering, and the plant immediately flagged. Too much water, and the roots risked rot. That constant babysitting is not only exhausting, but nearly impossible to sustain if you're busy or away for a few days. Nutrition adds another layer of stress. Hybrid teas are heavy feeders, requiring regular fertilization to keep producing blooms. In the ground, you can amend the soil once or twice a season and the plant finds what it needs. In pots, nutrients flush out with every watering, leaving the rose hungry and pale unless you're religious about feeding schedules. It becomes a cycle. Water, fertilize, prune, deadhead, on repeat. The romance of the rose quickly fades into a full-time chore. And let's not forget pests and diseases. Roses are notorious for attracting trouble. Aphids, spider mites, Japanese beetles, black spot, powdery mildew, rust, you name it. Hybrid teas are magnets for them. In a garden bed, the plant has space to breathe and recover, and natural predators can sometimes help. In a container, the rose is stressed and cramped, making it even more vulnerable. I found myself constantly spraying, cleaning leaves, and battling infestations that never seemed to quit. Nothing takes the joy out of gardening faster than watching a rosebud you've nurtured get devoured overnight by beetles. There's also the winter problem. Hybrid tea roses are less cold-hardy than other types, especially when grafted. In the ground, soil insulates the roots, helping them survive harsh conditions. In a pot, roots are fully exposed to freezing and thawing cycles. Unless you drag the container into a protected space or insulate it heavily, there's a high chance of losing the plant over winter. I once wrapped my pots, mulched heavily, and still lost them after a particularly brutal season. In contrast, when grown in the ground, hybrid teas can be spectacular with the right care. They bloom in flushes all summer, respond beautifully to pruning, and reward your effort with armfuls of cut flowers. They just weren't designed for the confined, fluctuating environment of a container. If you love the idea of roses in pots, there are far better choices. Patio roses, miniature roses, or even floribundas and shrub roses adapt much more easily to containers. They stay compact, handle restricted root space, and still deliver plenty of color and fragrance without the constant drama. So, while I'll always admire hybrid tea roses in a traditional rose bed or in a bouquet, I deeply regret ever trying to force them into containers. They demand more than they give in that setting, turning what should be a joy into a frustration. 5. Lilies. Lilies are some of the most breathtaking flowers you can grow. Tall, statuesque stems topped with trumpet-shaped blooms that look almost otherworldly. There's a reason they've been symbols of elegance and purity in art and culture for centuries. The range is staggering. Asiatic lilies with their vivid colors and clean lines, Oriental lilies with massive, heavily perfumed flowers, trumpet lilies with their dramatic flared blooms, and hybrids that combine the best of all worlds. In the ground, lilies are showstoppers, rising from bulbs each summer and providing vertical drama that turns heads from across the yard. Naturally, I thought, why not bring that magic closer, in a container on my patio where I can enjoy them up close? The idea of sitting outside with a glass of tea while a pod of fragrant lilies perfumed the air was irresistible. And the first year, it was enchanting. The bulbs sprouted quickly, the stems shot up, and soon the flowers were spectacular. But after that initial thrill, the problems started, and they made me regret ever trying to confine these beauties in pots. The first big issue is their height and structure. Lilies aren't compact. Depending on the variety, stems can grow anywhere from 2 feet to over 6 feet tall, often towering above the pot. That looks impressive in bloom, but also makes them incredibly unstable. A gust of wind, a heavy rain, or even a curious pet brushing against the pot can topple the whole container. I found myself staking them repeatedly, adding supports, even weighing down the pots to keep them from tipping. But it always felt like I was fighting their natural urge to stretch and sway. Then there's the matter of their life cycle. Lilies are bulb plants, which means they go dormant after blooming. In the ground, that's fine. The bulbs rest safely underground, protected by layers of soil and mulch, ready to return next year. In a pot, dormancy is trickier. The foliage dies back, leaving behind a sad, empty container for months. Unless you're willing to dig up the bulbs, store them properly, and replant, you end up with a wasted pot taking up space. Even when I did store bulbs, I found that they weakened over time, never performing as strongly as the first year. Watering is another challenge. Lilies like consistent moisture but absolutely hate waterlogged soil. In a garden bed, excess water drains away and roots can seek balance. In a container, even with drainage holes, water management is delicate. Too dry and the bulbs shrivel, too wet and they rot. I had pots where bulbs literally turned mushy by the second season, despite my careful monitoring. The stress of container conditions shortens their lifespan dramatically compared to lilies planted directly in the ground. Pests and diseases also become magnified in pots. The dreaded red lily beetle, for example, can strip leaves and buds in no time. In a confined space, they're easier for pests to find and feast on, and harder for the plant to recover. Fungal issues like botrytis blight also hit harder when airflow around a pot is limited. I'd check my lilies daily, plucking beetles and spraying for fungus, yet the plant still looked ragged and defeated by mid-season. And let's not forget the fragrance. While Oriental lilies in particular smell heavenly, the scent can be overwhelming in close quarters. On a patio, what starts as delightful can quickly become cloying, especially in the evening when the air is still. More than once, I found myself moving pots away from seating areas because the scent was just too strong. There's also the winter survival issue. Bulbs in the ground are insulated by soil, but bulbs in pots are exposed to freezing and thawing cycles that can kill them. Unless you move pots into a sheltered location or heavily insulate them, you risk losing the bulbs entirely. For me, that meant dragging heavy containers into a garage or burying them in mulch piles. More work than the plants were worth. In contrast, lilies thrive in garden beds. They naturalize, multiply over time, and put on stronger displays each year. They anchor perennial borders, mix beautifully with shrubs and other flowers, and add height and fragrance to a landscape. They just weren't designed for container living. If you crave the look of lilies in pots, Asiatic dwarf varieties or dwarf orientals bred for containers are much better choices. They stay short, resist toppling, and perform well for at least a few years. But traditional tall lilies? I regret every time I tried to shoehorn them into containers. They're dramatic, yes, but the drama comes with too much instability, maintenance, and disappointment.
Have you ever stepped outside into your backyard, ready to relax, only to feel like you're on display? Maybe your neighbors can see right into your patio, or you're tired of staring at a plain fence that doesn't give you the privacy or peace you crave. The truth is, no one wants to feel like their outdoor space is a stage. You deserve a sanctuary, a place where you can sip your coffee, host a barbecue, or just sit in silence without wondering who's watching. And here's the secret. You don't need an expensive wall or years of waiting to create that kind of backyard retreat. You can get instant privacy and stunning beauty by planting the right trees. Today, I'm going to show you 5 incredible trees that transform ordinary yards into secluded escapes. They grow quickly, they look amazing, and they'll make your space feel private, peaceful, and completely your own. Leyland Cypress. The Leyland Cypress, scientifically known as Cypress leylandii, is one of the most popular privacy trees in the world. Its incredible growth rate and dense evergreen foliage make it the go-to choice for homeowners who want fast, reliable, and attractive backyard screening. This tree is famous for its speed, growing up to 3 to 4 feet per year under good conditions. In just a few years, bare yards can transform into lush green walls that block unwanted views, noise, and wind. Its soft, feathery foliage stays vibrant year-round, unlike deciduous trees that lose their leaves, ensuring constant privacy and beauty. The Leyland cypress can grow 50 to 60 feet tall and spread 15 to 25 feet wide, but it's also very adaptable. Many people trim it into neat hedges, while others let it grow into natural pyramids. Either way, it creates a strong, elegant screen. Hardy in a wide range of climates, it thrives in full sun, tolerates many soils, and once established, requires little care beyond occasional pruning. The only caution with Leyland cypress is spacing and airflow. Because it grows so quickly and densely, planting them too close can lead to disease. Giving them room to breathe and trimming as needed will keep them healthy for decades. Beyond privacy, this tree adds ornamental value. It works beautifully as a backdrop for gardens, a windbreak, or even as a single specimen tree. Its popularity in suburban neighborhoods shows just how effective it is. Row after row forming natural living fences that are both practical and attractive. In short, the Leyland cypress is more than just a tree. It's a landscaping solution. For homeowners who want instant seclusion, year-round greenery, and minimal maintenance, it's hard to beat this fast-growing evergreen. 2. Thuja Green Giant. The Thuja Green Giant is another privacy legend, a tree that has earned its reputation as one of the most dependable and attractive evergreens for screening. If the Leyland cypress is admired for its speed, the Green Giant is loved for its combination of speed, strength, and elegance. This hybrid, developed from a cross between Japanese Thuja and Western Red Cedar, offers the best of both parents: rapid growth, disease resistance, and a stately pyramidal shape that makes it a standout in almost any yard. What sets the Thuja Green Giant apart is not only its ability to grow quickly, often 2 to 3 feet per year, but also its ability to do so while maintaining a neat, symmetrical form with very little intervention. Many fast-growing trees become leggy, uneven, or prone to breakage, but the Green Giant naturally holds its graceful silhouette. Its dense, overlapping sprays of rich green foliage create a soft yet full texture, giving you the sense of a solid wall of greenery without feeling harsh or artificial. This makes it a favorite choice for homeowners who want privacy but also crave beauty. Unlike some evergreens that lose their color in winter, turning dull or brownish, the Green Giant remains vibrant year-round. Its resilience extends beyond appearance. It is remarkably tolerant of a wide range of soils, including clay, loam, and sandy conditions, as long as they are reasonably well drained. It thrives in full sun, but can also handle partial shade, making it flexible for different backyard environments. Once established, it is drought-tolerant, and it has strong resistance to pests and diseases that often trouble other conifers. The sheer size of the Green Giant is part of its appeal. Mature trees can reach heights of 40 to 60 feet, with a spread of 12 to 20 feet. Planted in a row, they form towering hedges that block noise, wind, and unwanted views. Their height alone creates an impressive screen, offering privacy not just at eye level, but also from second-story windows. At the same time, they can be pruned to maintain a smaller size so you don't have to commit to their full grandeur if your yard is more modest. Culturally, the Green Giant has become almost synonymous with suburban landscaping, yet it avoids the uniform, overused look of some other evergreens. Its lush, layered branches provide a more natural appearance than rigid rows of fencing, making a backyard feel like a private retreat rather than a walled-in enclosure. Whether planted as a continuous hedge, staggered for a more naturalistic look, or placed as individual specimens to anchor the corners of a property, the green giant adapts beautifully to design goals. Planting these trees requires some foresight. Because they grow so quickly, spacing them about 6 to 10 feet apart allows enough room for their mature spread, while still ensuring that they close in together to form a solid wall of greenery. Over time, they knit into a nearly seamless screen that feels like part of the landscape rather than an artificial boundary. This sense of permanence and harmony with nature is one of the reasons so many people prefer them over fences or walls. For the homeowner seeking privacy that is fast, reliable, and aesthetically pleasing, the Thuja Green Giant is nearly unmatched. It gives you the shelter you crave without demanding endless maintenance. It grows with strength and grace, standing as a living monument to the idea that nature itself can be your best defense against noise, wind, and curious eyes. 3. Arborvitae. Arborvitae, known as the tree of life, has been cherished for centuries for its evergreen beauty and practical use as a privacy tree. If Leyland Cypress and green giant Thuja are the giants of large spaces, Arborvitae is the elegant solution for smaller yards or tighter areas where space is limited. With its naturally narrow, upright growth and soft green foliage, Arborvitae offers privacy without overwhelming a property. What makes Arborvitae so appealing is its variety. The species Thuja occidentalis has been cultivated into countless forms, each suited to different needs. The emerald green Arborvitae is perhaps the most popular, standing about 12 to 15 feet tall and only 3 to 4 feet wide, making it perfect for lining driveways, patios, or property lines in suburban neighborhoods. For those who want something larger, the Techni variety can grow up to 20 feet, providing a broader, fuller screen. Meanwhile, compact cultivars like Globe Arborvitae remain small and round, serving more as ornamental accents than full privacy screens. Unlike many fast-growing trees that demand constant maintenance, Arborvitae maintains its shape with little intervention. Its naturally symmetrical form requires only occasional pruning, if any, to stay neat. This makes it a favorite for homeowners who want a clean, structured hedge that looks like it has been carefully maintained, even when it hasn't. In formal gardens, Arborvitae hedges create crisp lines and ordered spaces, while in informal settings they blend seamlessly into mixed landscapes. Arborvitae is also hardy, especially in colder climates where other evergreens might struggle. It withstands harsh winters and keeps its green color year-round, ensuring privacy in every season. Its dense foliage creates effective noise reduction and wind protection, in addition to screening unwanted views. When planted in rows, Arborvitae form a living fence that is softer and more natural than wood or metal, yet just as effective. Because of its narrow footprint, Arborvitae is one of the best options for small yards where space is precious. A row of emerald green Arborvitaes can transform even the smallest strip of land into a lush, private boundary. Unlike wider trees that require 10 or more feet of spacing, Arborvitae can be planted closer together, creating a solid screen in a short amount of time. Another advantage of Arborvitae is its adaptability. It tolerates a range of soils, requires little water once established, and resists pests better than many other evergreens. While it prefers full sun, it can manage in partial shade, making it versatile for different yard conditions. Its durability and dependability have made it a staple of landscaping for generations, and its popularity shows no signs of waning. For homeowners seeking privacy in smaller spaces or looking for a tree that combines elegance with practicality, Arborvitae is an excellent choice. It delivers greenery, structure, and seclusion without taking over the yard, proving that you don't need massive trees to achieve effective privacy. 4. Eastern Red Cedar. The Eastern Red Cedar, despite its name, is actually a species of juniper, and it is one of the toughest and most versatile privacy trees you can plant. Unlike the more formal evergreens, which often create neat, manicured screens, the red cedar brings a sense of rugged, natural beauty to the landscape. Its dense, aromatic foliage forms a living wall, while its resilience allows it to thrive where other trees might fail. One of the most striking qualities of the Eastern Red Cedar is its adaptability. It tolerates poor soil, drought, heat, cold, and even strong winds, making it a champion for difficult conditions. If you live in an area where the soil is rocky, sandy, or less than ideal, the red cedar will likely thrive where other trees would struggle. Its toughness makes it especially valuable in rural or exposed settings where protection from the elements is as important as privacy itself. In appearance, the red cedar grows into a dense, pyramidal form, with foliage that ranges from dark green to bluish green depending on the season and the variety. Small, blue, berry-like cones cover the tree, providing food for birds and wildlife throughout the year. In fact, one of the hidden joys of planting eastern red cedars is watching the flocks of birds that are drawn to them. The trees provide both shelter and food, turning your yard into a small wildlife haven. The size of these trees makes them highly effective as privacy screens. They typically grow 30 to 40 feet tall and 10 to 20 feet wide, forming substantial barriers against both sight and sound. A row of red cedars can protect a property from road noise, block strong winds, and shield views from nearby buildings or neighbors. Their natural form is slightly less uniform than Leyland cypress or Thuja green giant, which gives them a rustic, woodland quality that blends beautifully into natural settings. While they are hardy and low maintenance, it is worth giving eastern red cedars enough room to grow. Their roots are strong, and their spread can be significant, so thoughtful placement ensures they don't interfere with structures or smaller plants. Once established, they require very little care, making them ideal for homeowners who want privacy without constant upkeep. Culturally, the red cedar has deep roots in North America. It has been used historically for everything from building materials to aromatic cedar chests, prized for its fragrant wood and resilience. Planting one in your yard connects you to a long tradition of using this tree for both practical and aesthetic purposes. For those who want privacy with character, strength, and ecological benefits, the eastern red cedar is an exceptional choice. It doesn't just create a barrier, it enriches the environment, supports wildlife, and adds timeless beauty to the landscape. 5. Bamboo. Bamboo is not technically a tree, but when it comes to backyard privacy, it earns its place among the best living screens. Unlike traditional evergreens, bamboo offers a unique blend of speed, style, and sound. When the wind blows through a grove of bamboo, the gentle rustling of leaves and the hollow sway of the canes create an atmosphere of calm and seclusion. For homeowners who want privacy with personality, bamboo is an unmatched choice. The key to success with bamboo is choosing clumping varieties rather than running types. Running bamboos can quickly become invasive, spreading aggressively underground and overtaking entire yards. Clumping bamboo, however, grows in tight, contained clusters, slowly expanding outward, but never in a way that becomes unmanageable. This makes it ideal for planting along fences, patios, or even in large containers. What makes bamboo so appealing is how quickly it creates a screen. While many trees take years to grow tall enough to block views, bamboo shoots upward in just a couple of seasons. Some varieties can reach 10 to 15 feet in only 2 to 3 years, while others soar even higher, creating towering green walls that feel exotic and lush. The growth rate alone makes bamboo one of the fastest solutions for instant backyard privacy. Beyond speed, bamboo adds a design element that other trees cannot match. Its tall, slender canes create vertical lines that look elegant and modern, fitting perfectly into contemporary landscapes as well as more natural, tropical, or Asian-inspired gardens. The leaves form soft, airy clouds of greenery that filter light and movement, offering privacy without feeling oppressive. When planted in rows, bamboo creates an almost architectural screen, sleek yet organic and endlessly fascinating to look at. Clumping bamboo varieties such as Bambusa multiplex or Fargesia robusta are particularly well suited for residential use. They remain manageable in size while still growing tall enough to provide effective screening. In colder climates, hardy clumping bamboos like Fargesia nitida can survive harsh winters, staying evergreen or semi-evergreen depending on conditions. This adaptability means that bamboo is not just for tropical regions. It can be grown successfully in many parts of the world. One of the hidden joys of bamboo is its sound. Unlike other privacy trees, which stand still and silent, bamboo comes alive in the wind, and the rustling leaves and swaying canes produce a soothing white noise that muffles surrounding sounds while creating an atmosphere of tranquility. This quality makes bamboo especially desirable in urban or suburban settings where traffic, neighbors, or city sounds intrude into your outdoor space. Bamboo also works beautifully in containers, which allows even small yards, patios, or decks to enjoy its benefits. A row of large pots filled with bamboo can form a movable, flexible screen that delivers instant privacy without permanent planting. For renters or those who want to redesign their outdoor space in the future, this portability is a huge advantage. Ultimately, bamboo is for those who want more than just privacy. It is for those who want beauty, atmosphere, and a little touch of the exotic in their backyard. It grows fast, it looks elegant, and it creates not just a screen, but an experience, one that feels private, peaceful, and alive. So there you have it, 5 of the best trees for instant backyard privacy. The fast-growing Leyland cypress, the reliable Thuja green giant, the stylish clumping bamboo, the classic Arborvitae, and the rugged eastern red cedar. Each one brings its own unique personality to your yard, but all of them create the same result, a private, peaceful space that feels like your own sanctuary. Which one would you choose for your backyard? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your plans. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more garden and landscaping tips, and share this video with someone who's dreaming of more privacy in their outdoor space. Until next time, here's to creating a backyard you'll truly love.